While I was sipping coconut water on a beach in Thailand, someone stole my house. Without my permission, without my signature, and the person behind it? Karen, our HOA president. She forged documents, claimed I abandoned the property, and tried to steal my home right out from under me. But what she didn't know was that I was coming back and bringing the police with me. Let's dip in. I thought it was a prank, a sick, twisted joke. One of those stories you hear about online, shake your head, and think, no way that actually happens. But no, this wasn't a Reddit thread or a clickbait headline. This was my life. While I was halfway across the world, stretched out on a sunbed in Thailand, sipping coconut water and watching the waves roll in, something unimaginable happened back home. Someone stole my house. Without my knowledge, without my signature, without any legal right to do so. And the worst part? It wasn't a stranger. It wasn't a scammer from the dark web or some shadowy identity thief. It was Karen. Yep, that Karen. The one who lives 3 doors down. The one with the ever-present sunglasses, the blonde bob that hasn't moved in years, and a voice sharp enough to cut glass. The one who somehow crowned herself the queen of our neighborhood's HOA. She's been a thorn in everyone's side for as long as I've lived there. You couldn't leave your trash can out an extra 15 minutes without getting a warning notice. Grass 1 inch too high. Fine. Holiday decorations up past New Year's. Double fine. She had a rule book thicker than a dictionary, and a passion for enforcing it like her life depended on it. But this was next level. I didn't believe it at first. When I got the call, I laughed, like, haha, funny prank. Now tell me what's really going on. But then I FaceTimed my neighbor and saw total strangers walking through my house. A giant sold sign stabbed into my front lawn like a middle finger. That's when it hit me. This wasn't a joke. This was real. And Karen had just committed a felony. You won't believe what happened next. Let me take you back to the start of this nightmare. I bought my place 5 years ago. Nothing fancy, just a clean, cozy 2-story house in a quiet, HOA-managed suburb. Tree-lined streets, friendly neighbors, and families walking their dogs in the evenings. It felt like the perfect place to settle down. But there was one catch, a small but deadly detail that would eventually blow up my entire life. Karen, the HOA president, the neighborhood tyrant. From the moment I moved in, her presence was impossible to ignore. She strutted around like she owned the entire block, wielding her clipboard like a weapon. I got my first friendly violation notice 3 days after unpacking. Apparently, my mailbox wasn't painted in one of the approved shades of neutral. Seriously. Then came the constant harassment. Little things like grass height warnings, a ticket because my hose was visible from the street, and weekly HOA emails with phrases like, let this serve as a reminder, and non-compliance will result in action. It was clear Karen had made it her mission to keep the neighborhood perfectly controlled and to remind everyone who was in charge. So I did what most people did. I kept my head down. I mowed the lawn religiously. Parked my car exactly 8 inches from the curb. Yes, that was actually a rule. Kept my shutters beige and my garden gnome free. But last year, something changed. I got tired of walking on eggshells in my own home. I started showing up to HOA meetings. I voted no on some of her more absurd proposals, like banning basketball hoops because they looked too urban. I even had the audacity to question her when she tried to sneak in a dues increase without holding a proper vote. And that's when the real war began. It started small, trash cans mysteriously going missing after pickup, letters about noise complaints when I had one quiet friend over for dinner, a citation for overgrown ivy that didn't even exist. It felt personal, but nothing could have prepared me for what she did next. In March, I finally took a break. After years of nonstop work and dealing with Karen's constant HOA drama, I booked a 2-week trip to Thailand. I've been dreaming of it for years. Sunshine, serene temples, fresh pad thai from street vendors, and 0 HOA emails. It was the perfect escape. Before I left, I made sure everything was in order. I emailed the HOA about my travel dates, stopped my mail, and gave my trusted neighbor, Lisa, a spare key just in case anything came up. Everything seemed under control, and for the first week it was. Then, on day 9, my phone rang. Lisa was on the line, breathless and frantic. "Hey, There's a moving truck in your driveway, and some guy just walked out saying he bought your house. I sat straight up in my beach chair, heart pounding. What are you talking about? That's not possible. I didn't list it. I didn't sell it. She turned on FaceTime, and I swear my stomach dropped through the floor. There were strangers walking in and out of my house, my living room, carrying in boxes and furniture. A couple was arguing over which room had the best lighting for their baby's nursery. And right there, planted in my front yard like a stake through my sanity, a giant red sold sign. I told them it had to be a mistake. I was the homeowner. I hadn't authorized any of this. But the man, the so-called new owner, calmly pulled out a folder and showed Lisa a signed sales agreement. My signature was on it, except it wasn't my signature. Karen's name was listed as the seller. She had forged documents, posed as my representative, and worked with some shady real estate agent to close a sale behind my back. Even worse, she used her HOA authority to falsely verify I had abandoned the property. According to her, I had moved away without notice. What she didn't know was that I was about to fly home and bring hell with me. I booked the first flight home. Jet-lagged, angry, and still trying to wrap my head around all, I landed less than 24 hours later. The moment I pulled into my driveway, my heart was pounding. My house, my home, still had that awful sold sign posted like some kind of sick trophy. The so-called new owner was there, pacing outside, clearly stressed. He told me he hadn't officially moved in yet, just kept his belongings in the truck and was staying at a hotel while final paperwork was being finalized. After I explained what had actually happened, that the sale was completely fraudulent, his face turned pale. He grabbed his phone and immediately called his lawyer. And then I did what I should have done from the start. I marched straight into the HOA office. And there she was, Karen, sitting at her desk like she hadn't just committed grand theft. She looked up, barely surprised. "Oh, you're back? Thought you moved for good." "Don't worry, we took care of everything." I could barely contain myself. "You sold my house while I was on vacation, Karen. You committed fraud." She actually had the nerve to smirk and say, "The HOA can manage abandoned properties. It's all in the bylaws. You should really read them." Spoiler, that was a total lie. She made it up on the spot. I pulled out my phone and called the police right there, in front of her. When officers arrived, she doubled down, claimed I had abandoned the property. But the buyer's agent exposed everything. He showed them texts from Karen, bragging about helping a friend sell fast under the table. They cuffed her on the spot. She was charged with fraud, forgery, impersonation, and unauthorized sale of property. The buyer got a full refund, and I got my home back. The aftermath? Glorious. The moment Karen was arrested, it was like a cloud lifted off the neighborhood. Word spread fast. And the reactions? Let's just say I wasn't the only one smiling. People were actually coming out of their homes just to watch her get hauled away in cuffs. She was immediately stripped of her role as HOA president. No vote, no ceremony. Just gone. But as the investigation unfolded, things got even worse for her. Turns out, this wasn't her first shady move. Far from it. Authorities discovered she'd been forging board meeting notes, making up HOA rules on the fly, and even rerouting association funds into personal projects, like repainting her own house using neighborhood improvement money. There were fake emails, unauthorized budget approvals, and a lot of missing receipts. And suddenly, neighbors who were too scared to speak before started sharing their own stories. Karen had threatened fines for things that didn't exist, entered backyards without permission, and even canceled landscaping services she didn't personally approve of. She's now facing multiple charges: fraud, forgery, impersonation, misuse of funds. Real jail time. The HOA board was completely restructured. A new president was elected, new rules were written, and the entire community came together with one message. This isn't a dictatorship anymore. As for me, I installed cameras around the entire property, changed every lock, upgraded security, and finally, I painted my shutters black. Just because I could. I also started attending every HOA meeting, not just to keep myself protected, but to make sure no one else gets bullied like I did. No more unchecked power. No more silent suffering. So if you live in an HOA community, Document everything, know your rights, and speak up. Because let me tell you, my HOA, Karen, she tried to steal my home. And now, she's watching the neighborhood through a set of prison bars. So yeah, Karen tried to steal my house while I was on vacation. But in the end, justice won. She lost her power, her reputation, and now she's facing real jail time. I got my home back. And more importantly, I made sure no one else in our community ever gets pushed around like that again. If you found this story wild, shocking, or just satisfying, hit that like button, subscribe for more real-life revenge and justice stories, and drop a comment below. What would you have done if someone sold your house while you were away? Thanks for watching, and remember, always read the fine print, and never underestimate a power-hungry Karen.